You'd never know it from the outside, but some people carry entire wars inside their minds. PTSD alters lives on a scale few imagine. Over 350 million people worldwide are fighting invisible battles right now. Scientists have found the trauma doesn't just haunt memories, it physically changes the brain, shrinking the hippocampus by up to 20%. The brain doesn't just remember, sometimes it relives. So why does PTSD so deeply alter how people think, feel, and love? A neighbor waves from across the street. A coworker laughs at lunch. On the surface, life moves quietly, almost undisturbed. But beneath that calm, millions are carrying burdens that never leave them. The numbers are staggering. More than 350 million people around the world live with post-traumatic stress disorder. That's nearly 1 in every 20 people, according to the World Health Organization. The faces you pass each day might be hiding battles you can't see. Battles not marked by scars or casts, but by memories that refuse to fade. PTSD can follow any event that overwhelms a person's sense of safety. War, an accident, an assault, or even the sudden loss of someone close. It doesn't matter where you live, how old you are, or what you believe. Trauma cuts across every border and background. Most people who experience trauma will recover with time, but for millions, the effects linger, reshaping how they see themselves, others, and the world around them. What makes PTSD so difficult to spot is its invisibility. There's no outward sign, no easy way to measure the weight someone is carrying. You might see someone at work, at home, or in a crowd and never guess that their mind is replaying moments they wish they could forget. These invisible wounds change more than just mood. They can alter memory, attention, and even personality. The scale is vast, but each experience is deeply personal. This is an epidemic hidden in plain sight, touching lives in ways that statistics can never fully capture. Inside the brain, trauma leaves a physical signature. When you experience something overwhelming, the amygdala, the region responsible for fear, springs into action. It sounds the alarm, flooding your body with stress chemicals, locking your attention on danger. But with PTSD, that alarm system never fully resets. The amygdala remains on high alert, even when there's no threat in sight. At the same time, the hippocampus, your brain's memory organizer, begins to change. In people with chronic PTSD, scans from Harvard Medical School reveal the hippocampus can shrink by nearly 20%. This loss isn't just a number. It means the brain struggles to sort memories by time and place. Instead of filing traumatic events away as part of the past, the mind replays them as if they're happening right now. The world becomes a minefield of reminders, each one capable of pulling you back into the moment of trauma. The prefrontal cortex, which normally helps you reason and regulate emotions, loses some of its strength under constant stress. It's like the brakes on a car wearing thin. You can still steer, but stopping the rush of fear and memory becomes much harder. A Harvard clinician puts it simply, in PTSD, the brain doesn't just remember what happened, it relives it over and over because trauma rewires the circuits that separate past and present. These changes aren't visible from the outside, but they shape every thought, reaction, and memory. The brain's wiring, meant to protect, now traps you in a loop where the past refuses to stay behind. A single sound can pull you out of the present and drop you straight back into the worst moment of your life. For Maya, it was the screech of tires outside her apartment. One second, she was making coffee. The next, her heart was pounding, her hands were shaking, and the room seemed to tilt. She wasn't just remembering the crash, she was inside it again. The smell of burnt rubber, the glare of headlights, the helplessness. That's how flashbacks work. They don't ask permission. They arrive fully formed, hijacking your senses and your sense of time. 8 out of 10 people with PTSD know this experience all too well. The brain, shaped by trauma, stores memories in a way that ties them to intense emotion. When something in the present matches the feeling of the original event, a sound, a smell, a shadow. The memory returns, not as a story, but as a living moment. Scientists call this state-dependent memory. It's why the past can feel just as real as the present, and why yesterday never truly ends. Even when the flashback fades, the body stays on alert. For Maya, that meant scanning every intersection, jumping at sudden noises, and sitting where she could watch the door. This is hypervigilance. Nearly 3/4 of people with PTSD live in this state, their bodies flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. It's not paranoia, it's survival logic. Once, this alertness kept them safe. Now, it follows them everywhere long after the danger is gone. Aisha sits at the dinner table, surrounded by family, yet she feels like she's watching life through thick glass. The laughter and conversation barely register. She wants to join in, but something inside has gone quiet. This is emotional numbing, a kind of protective shutdown. For nearly 2/3 of people with PTSD, feelings become distant or unreachable. Joy, love, even grief all seem dulled. It's not a lack of caring. It's the mind's way of shielding itself from pain too great to bear. Tom, a veteran, writes late at night. His letters are full of questions he can't answer. Why did he survive when others didn't? What could he have done differently? Guilt lingers, long after the danger is gone. Nearly half of veterans with PTSD carry this weight, replaying choices and moments that refuse to settle. The guilt isn't logical, but it's stubborn, carving deep lines through memory and self-worth. For Lena, whose partner struggles with PTSD, the hardest part is the distance. She listens to voice memos from therapy, trying to understand. At first, she thought the silence meant indifference. Over time, she realized it was self-protection, a way to keep pain at arm's length. Relationships bend under this strain. Studies show that living with PTSD can double the risk of divorce or separation. Trust, intimacy, and even simple comfort become difficult to reach. Avoidance becomes a silent rule. If a place, a topic, or even a feeling might bring back the past, it's easier to sidestep it. If I can avoid it, maybe it can't hurt me again. But each act of avoidance builds a wall, making the world smaller and the pain more persistent. Beneath the surface, the pressure keeps rising, waiting for a way out. For some, the turning point comes in a therapist's office with a technique called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. During EMDR, you're asked to recall the memory that haunts you, while your eyes follow a moving light or your hands tap in rhythm. It sounds simple, almost strange. But in study after study, EMDR has helped people unlock memories from the grip of fear. The American Psychiatric Association reports that 84 to 90% of trauma survivors see a major drop in symptoms after EMDR. Brain scans before and after treatment show real changes. The amygdala quiets, the hippocampus starts to reconnect the past with the present. One survivor put it this way: "For the first time, the memory felt like something that happened to me, not something I was still living through." A therapist sits across from you and asks you to plant your feet on the ground. Notice the pressure where your soles meet the floor. Feel the chair supporting your back. This simple grounding exercise is more than a comfort. It's a way to remind your body that the danger is over, and you are here now. In cognitive behavioral therapy, you practice facing reminders of trauma in small, controlled steps. Each time you stay with a difficult memory or sensation, your brain learns that it can survive the wave without being pulled under. Mindfulness, yoga, and slow breathing help rebuild trust in your own senses. Healing is not about erasing the past, but about teaching your mind and body that safety is possible again. Worldwide, more than 350 million people live with PTSD, according to the World Health Organization. This documentary has shown how trauma changes the brain. Harvard Medical School found a 20% reduction in hippocampal volume among chronic PT-psych patients, and how symptoms like flashbacks, hypervigilance, and emotional numbing shape daily life and relationships. Treatments such as EMDR have reduced symptoms in up to 90% of cases, but there is no single path to recovery, and not every answer is known. Science continues to study why some brains adapt while others struggle, and why certain therapies work better for some than others. What is clear: PTSD is not a sign of weakness, but the result of surviving what most minds cannot imagine. The facts show that healing is possible, and every survivor who faces each day is evidence of human resilience.